Good morning. It's sunrise in the Caribbean. I haven't posted any PPG teaching myself how to fly powered paragliding videos because I've been here vacationing. My wife said I had to come. My son's on military leave. It's been a great week, although I'm not much of a cruise ship, all-inclusive resort kind of guy. I feel like a tagged animal with one of these silly things on, like livestock. You know, I just don't make a very good tourist. I know a lot of people think this is the greatest thing in the world. I am very happy and proud of my son and his military service. Hats off to anybody that's serving our country in the military. Thanks for your commitment. I'm glad I came visit with the family. So, what's on tap for PPG? Well, first an update. I got my harness now. I got my Charger 28-meter wing, and I've kited that a little bit, although I'd like to kite it some more before I actually go flying. It is so much better than the 20-year-old gin glider. It's much more responsive, it's much lighter, it flies straight up, it's easier to launch, it's easier to manipulate on and around the ground. Very, very well designed, well engineered product. I'm glad that the choice was made to buy that. I've read through the product documentation on it multiple times, probably 4 or 5 times through that manual. I've watched all of Jeff Goins' advanced series 1 through 4, ground handling, launching, in-flight precision, and landings. And I've watched the highlights of some of those DVDs multiple times. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about low-speed navigation in winds that are equivalent to the cruise speed of the aircraft. That's an interesting topic, especially when you've spent most of your life at 250 knots, or even in Cessna training equipment. 12 or 15 mile an hour wind is negligible. But when you talk about paragliding and a 12 or 15 knot wind, you better be paying attention. When I get home, I'm going to buy some ethanol-free pump gas. I'm going to mix it with full synthetic 2-cycle motor oil at about 40 to 1. I'm going to do the break-in on the Viterazzi motor. I'm going to do a hang test from the hangar door on the Viterazzi motor. I'll definitely be making a video of that. I'm going to finish up some more kiting, and I'm going to be waiting for a weather window, probably Tuesday or Wednesday evening of this coming week. I'm going to go fly that paraglider. You may find it interesting that my last 3 or 4 days in Florida, the winds were about 35 miles an hour, and somebody had posted that you want to be careful, or you never should kite with an offshore breeze because the glider can pull you out into the water and to sea and drown you, and that's very, very true. I kited the glider with about 35 knots of wind one day. Now the wind was coming parallel to the ocean right down the beach, but I didn't want to get lifted and drug into the dunes and the vegetation there. A lot of that's dangerous, you know, palmetto palm trees and spike bushes and sawgrass, or you know, wrought iron pickets around condominiums. And I equally didn't want to get drug out into the ocean. So I started to untie from the glider. Remember, this is before I'd gotten delivery of my harness. And sure enough, the wind whipped that glider into a million knotted parts and pieces. So, interesting learning experience. I found a guy that talks about untangling a paraglider. I'll post a link to his information. Very, very concise. I spent an hour plus on the beach trying to untangle that thing in 30-mile-an-hour winds. It didn't work, and I was able to use his procedure in 5 or 6 minutes, got the glider untangled. You basically trace one of the A lines back to the malleon and physically step inside of the clean, clear line running from the wing to the malleon, and then you proceed on down the wing using your arm as the point of reference that you untangle from. It sounds complicated at first, but once I started following his procedure, the whole thing fell open and all the knots and tangles were gone, and I was back in business with that gin glider in spite of what the wind had done to it. Then I went home and was becalmed. I mean, not a whisper of wind for 5 days until we came down here for the 1 week vacation. So I'll post on Tuesday or Wednesday after the break-in period, and then we'll be waiting for that weather window to go fly.